What's going on, guys? So this video is all going to be based on this camera that I got for my YouTube videos. This is the Sony A6600. I'm going to talk about the reasons why I like this camera, why I got it, and I'm also going to talk about the reasons why you might not want this camera. But there's a catch. The things that this camera lacks in is easily fixable. So one of the first things I'm going to talk about is why I really got this camera and what I really love about it. It's simply the auto-focusing. This camera is the best camera I feel that you can get for auto-focusing. It does a really good job. It's got eye detection, so it just keeps my face in focus. But at the same time, if you want to put something in front of the camera to have it focus on that, all you got to do is put it in front of your face. I will demonstrate that with this Samsung hard drive. I'm just going to put this right here, and then boom. Focuses on it perfectly. Come back, now my face is in focus. It doesn't get distracted by other objects, meaning if I'm walking around in public, it's not going to focus on random objects. It's really going to do a good job with my face. So I'll do this again. Like I said, put this in front of my face, it's detected. But the second you pull it away from my face and just go near it, see, now my face is in focus because it sees my eyes. And no matter where you put this hard drive, as long as my eyes are showing, my face stays in focus, okay? So, ready? Focus, unfocus. Does a really good job. So, another thing I'm going to talk about is I want you to look at the background, okay? You can see it's slightly blurred, but if I come closer to the camera, it's going to focus on my face and blur that out even more. So, ready? Here we are, blurred out. Now, if I walk back to that poster, it's going to get my face in focus, but it also get everything else in focus because I'm closer to it. So we're going to do that right now. So now you can see that everything on there is in focus. But if I come up, see how good that is? Pretty amazing. Now I can totally come out of the frame. If I get out of the frame, it'll focus on everything. But the second I come in front of the camera, it's all eyes on me. Everything's in focus. Bam. Now it's me. Number one reason why I got this camera was simply because of that. The autofocusing on this camera is flawless. It is so quick, it's so responsive, it's so accurate, it's not going to get distracted by other objects, and that's the main reason why I bought this camera. Now, what this camera is not going to be that great at is it does have built-in stabilization, but it's not that good. So that means when I'm walking around with it, it's going to be very jittery, and it's not going to be that great. But here's the thing. You can put it on a gimbal and fix that problem. You know, so I was using my GoPro, and that is really smooth. The built-in stabilization, which is called Hyper Smooth, is amazing in those GoPro cameras. This camera's not going to be that great at that. It does have built-in stabilization, but it doesn't work well. So throw it on a gimbal, and you'll actually get smoother videos than the GoPro. So my whole point is, okay, this doesn't have good built-in stabilization, but you can fix that problem. Now here's another thing. I don't agree with this. I actually really like the colors that the Sony cameras give off, but there are some people that don't like the colors that come out in your photos and videos when you record or take pictures on a Sony. But here's the thing. You can color correct that in your editing programs and get rid of that. So that's fixable. So the two major things about this camera that's not good will include the color, is the color, but you can fix it. Another thing is the stabilization, but you can put it on a gimbal and you can fix it. The thing is with autofocus is if you have a camera that doesn't have good autofocus, there's no way of fixing that. If your camera has bad autofocus, then you got what you got, and you get what you get. But on this camera, it's flawless. And I could fix the other problems. So if I take this camera and put it on a gimbal, I'm going to have amazing autofocus and it's going to be super smooth. This camera is going to be dominant. Really happy about this camera. I'm going to talk a little bit about the specs. I'm not going to go crazy detail and talk about every single thing. Just the recording specs and what's useful for what I'm making. So let's start off with, it does shoot in 4K at 30 frames per second. Which is what I'm shooting at right now. It's going to give me that nice cinematic view, or that nice cinematic look, however. And it does shoot at 120 frames per second to give you those really nice, smooth, slow-mo videos, but it drops down to 1080 pixel. Doesn't bother me at all. I did some research and I watched some videos with 4K and 1080 pixel, and like I really couldn't even tell the difference. There's actually a video that someone made where they show you a video and then they show you another video and you're supposed to guess which one it is, 4K or 1080, and then they let you know. At the end of the video, I only got 60% right. So what that tells me is there's really no big difference between 1080 pixel and 4K when it comes to slow-mo videos. So if I can record at 4K at 30 frames per second like I am right now, and then take a B-roll video in slow-mo at 1080p, I'm happy. It's not a deal breaker for me. So let's go outside, let's look at this camera, let's see what it does out in the field, and yeah, let's go check it out, guys. Alright, so yeah, we got a couple ND filters on here to adjust for the aperture that I'm at. So I think this is kind of like where I want to record at, is for aperture is 2.0. I could also go like a little bit higher and maybe go to like 2.2. We could check that out. So this is at 2.2. And like I said, you're still going to get a little bit of background blur. It's really just, I got to look at the videos and find out what I like. I don't want to blur out the background too much, but at the same time, I do want to have it have a cinematic look. The sun is in my eyes like crazy. So during all this, even with the blurred out background and the aperture set, let me know how the steady, what you guys think of the built-in stabilization. Is it shaking too much? Should I look into getting a gimbal? Like I said, at the end of this video, I will talk about what I feel like and what I think after I watch this. And yeah, I'll let you guys know what I think. But I'm curious to see what you guys think too, because this is all about you. You know, when you're watching this, is this too much blur? Is this too much shakiness in the camera? Should I look into getting a gimbal? You know, let me know what the flaws are in this little handheld vlog that I'm doing with this Sony A6600. So yeah, let me know. I'm really curious on what you guys think. So let's head out of here and get back to the studio. Wow. Anyways, let's get to the review. So I'm going to break this review down in a few sections. I'm going to break it down as an overall view or overall rating for this camera. I'm going to break it down as a YouTube camera. Is this camera good for YouTube videos? And then also vlogging style, because YouTube videos kind of in separate categories. Like this is a YouTube video right now where the camera's set up into the studio and I'm talking to you guys. So that's going to be is it a good YouTube video? And then obviously the vlogging is it good where if you just throw it on a selfie stick like this one. This is the Ulanzi. It's really good, high quality selfie stick. And then these legs come out and it's also a tripod. Is it good? Is it good on a vlogging style where you're just holding it like this, pointing it at your face, and you're just running and gunning? So overall rating, YouTube videos, and vlogging. Those are going to be the three ratings that I'm going to talk about when it comes to this camera. Let's talk about YouTube videos for the studio. I'm going to break this rating down into out of 10. 1 out of 10. 1 being bad and 10 being, oh my god, it's really good. It's phenomenal. You gotta buy it. And guess what? For YouTube videos, this is a fucking 9. This camera's great. You should definitely have this camera in your studio if you're trying to make YouTube videos. I mean, it's fantastic. It's crystal clear. The autofocus is really great. And that's all you really need. You don't need built-in stabilization for this. It's on a tripod. It's not moving. You know, this is a perfect camera and it's really good for the price, which I'll talk about that at the end of the video. But for the price point, this is like a really good camera, and I'm giving it a 9 for YouTube videos for your studio. Throw it on a tripod, talk to it. Whether you're doing tech reviews, like if I were to do a review on this and talk about it, you can bring it up. It autofocuses perfectly on it. I mean, it's crystal clear. It's phenomenal. this camera's perfect for that. So yeah, if you're looking for a camera to just throw in your studio and just keep it on a tripod for something that you can just come in front of the camera and talk to, yeah, it's great for that. I'm giving it a 9. It's got the mic output, so you can hook up an external mic like I am on this boomstick right here. It's got the flip up screen so you can see yourself. I can see what's in my frame, and yeah, it's great. So for YouTube videos and like, you know, a camera for your studio, yeah, I'm giving this a 9. In other words, this should be in your studio. God damn, this beer is good. Okay, now let's talk about the vlogging aspect. This is the throw it on the selfie stick, run and gun. Let's talk about that section of if this camera is good for. Could you put this on a selfie stick and record yourself? I mean, yeah, absolutely you can. You can do it. It's a little on the heavy side. The built-in stabilization isn't that great. You know, you might have to add a gimbal, which will add even more weight, so you got to think about that. You know, you could fix your stabilization with a gimbal, but you're going to be adding more weight. So I'd say that's the biggest drawback when it comes to the vlogging style of this camera, is just the weight. Not necessarily the size. It is kind of like a compact camera. I have seen a lot bigger cameras than this, but still, and I think I really don't want to. I don't really want to knock the camera too hard on the weight, because I know a lot of it is coming from the lens that I bought, which I'll talk about that in a little bit too. But all in all, like, you know, from what I've experienced, yeah, it's definitely a little heavy. Now, if I go brewery hopping and I'm just like going to my car and I gotta like pick up a camera and walk myself and like, you know, maybe for like 20 minutes, like, yeah, I'll use this camera for vlogging. Like, I'm not gonna not vlog with it. It still could be a vlogging camera, but let's say longboarding, I will not be bringing this camera. Way too heavy to be just vlogging all day and holding that camera all day. I mean, when I'm vlogging, when I go longboarding, I mean, I'm carrying the camera the whole entire time in my hands. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with the GoPro with that. If you're just doing like a daily vlog, normal, where, you know, you can hold it up for a few minutes and then place it down on like a selfie stick that turns into a tripod, yeah, perfect for that. Now let's talk about the built-in stabilization, because this has a lot to do with vlogging. You're holding your camera, you're walking, you're shaking a little bit. So, you know, let's just break it down. The wobble and the shakiness that you do get with this camera, even with the built-in stabilization, it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. Did it ruin the video and make it unwatchable? No, it didn't. But it's not as good as my GoPro. So, you know, can you just put this on a selfie stick and not a gimbal and walk around with it? Yeah, just try to keep your hands steady as much as possible. That's gonna help your case. Also, you can get a lens that has stabilization. This lens that I'm using does not have stabilization, so you can kind of double up your stabilization with this camera. Since the camera has built-in stabilization, you can spend a little bit more money on a lens that has stabilization, and that might help a little bit. I'm not exactly sure how much it would help. I have no idea. I'm sure you can watch YouTube videos. Someone's probably done it. So yeah, all in all, like, it's not the smoothest camera, but it's not gonna ruin your videos. It's not gonna be like, oh my god, I can't watch this, I'm turning it off, I'm not subscribing to this guy, and I'm not liking his video, it's too shaky. It's just too shaky. I can't watch it. I can't watch it. It's really not like that. So, you know, yeah, there's a little bit of shake to it. I've used cameras that have better stabilization, but at the same time, it's not like it's not gonna ruin your video. You can get away with it. So if you wanted to make it more smooth, you can get a gimbal for sure, and it'll be the smoothest video you'll ever see, but it's also gonna add more weight, and that's kind of the downside. So, as far as the run and gun vlogging style where you're just going for it, I'm gonna give it a 7.2. You know, it's just really the weight of the camera. In the stabilization. So, and it's kind of like the stabilization and the weight kind of like work together, because it's like, okay, like I said, the weight is a factor and the stabilization is a factor, and if you fix the stabilization, you're going to be adding more weight. So those are the two negatives. Like, You know, if it was, yeah, I could fix the stabilization and add no weight, then yeah, the rating would be higher. But in order to fix the stabilization, you have to just pile it onto a weakness, which is the weight. So yeah, I'm giving this camera, we'll say a 7. We're not even gonna get to the points. It's not that technical, guys. It's not that technical. We're gonna give it a 7. 7 out of 10 for vlogging style. It's still a great vlogging camera. There are ones that are better out there. I'd say my GoPro, but the GoPro's got flaws also. So that's for another video. As far as vlogging, it's gonna keep your face in focus and you're gonna get really good videos. Just look out for the weight and look out for that built-in stabilization. And that's pretty much it. So 7. Now let's talk about the overall rating of this camera and just the overall build and quality of this camera. So let's talk about the build and quality. Since I've already talked about the vlogging and the YouTube, you already know how I feel about that. Let's talk about the build quality. It's really good. It's durable. It's a little hefty, which is a good thing because it's definitely going to be a camera that's going to last you a long time. Not only that, but it's also got the weathered shell, so it's really good for cold temperatures, hot temperatures, rain, wind, all that. Like, you know, it's water resistant. With it being a good studio camera and a decent vlogging camera, an overall rating I'm going to give this, and there's going to be a point, is I'm giving it an 8.6. Why not 8.5? You just make it 8.5. You know what? 8.6 just sounds great for this camera. Beer shot. I really said beer shot, but like sip shot, whatever. Wow. I'm loving the studio, by the way. I'm absolutely loving this. This is so cool to just be able to come here and talk about things. You know, like right now it's like raining out and it's windy and I can't get outside and vlog, but I can just come in here and, you know, make some content. So that's what I'm doing. You know, this is awesome. I'm loving it, guys. Let's just fucking chill and talk, you know? Boys. It's a really good camera. If you're a YouTuber and you're trying to look for a good camera, just an all-around good camera, yeah, this is the camera for you for this price point. This is not a camera. I didn't buy this camera with a kit lens. I just bought the body only. I did my research on lens, and we'll talk about that in a second. So yes, if you want to buy this camera, body only, I bought it on Amazon for $1,100, which is a pretty good deal because I believe they were like $1,300 or $1,400 for the body only. So I saved a little bit of money. I don't know if it's because they got a new model coming out or if it was just a good deal on Amazon. I'm not exactly sure on why the price was that low. My gut feeling is they're probably coming out with a new model soon, but I don't care at this price point, and I've done research on this camera. It's doing exactly what I wanted to do, and yeah, so I paid $1,100 for the body only. Now let's talk about the lens. This is a wide-angle lens by Sigma. It is the 16mm 1.4. 16mm is a very wide lens, but it's actually probably not shooting at 16mm as this camera is not a full-frame camera. It is a cropped camera, so the 16mm lens is probably shooting a little bit more like a 22mm. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that it's cropped in a little bit, and that's why I bought this lens for this camera. Since this camera is a cropped camera and it zooms in automatically, I got a really, really wide lens. 16mm on a full frame is like, it'd be too wide. You don't want, it'd be way too wide. But since this is a cropped camera, it works out perfectly. And I think Sigma really made this lens for cameras that are not full frames. I could be wrong. Maybe they were just, hey, you know, let's make a ridiculously wide lens for full frame cameras. Yeah, let's do it. Maybe they did do that. I'm not exactly sure. But I could tell you that this camera, or this lens on this camera, is perfect for YouTube vloggers. 16mm on this cropped camera is perfect. And the 1.4 is just the aperture. So like that's gonna, the lower the number, it allows more light into your camera, which is great for like low light videos. And it gives you that nice blurred background, that nice cinematic look. So yeah, it's a really good lens, and I believe I paid $399 for the lens or $499 for the lens. I'm not exactly sure. It was either $400 or $500. So yeah, you can get this camera set up for around $1,500, $1,600. We'll go with that. Oh yeah, 16. That's how much it was. It was $1,600 for this camera setup. not bad. So, you know, part of the quality that you're seeing isn't just from the camera, it's also from the lens. So I mean, if you really like what you see and you like the video quality and everything, the blurred out background and all that, that's all the lens, that's not the camera, that's the lens, you know. So this is a really good YouTube setup. You got the Sony A6600 with the Sigma 16mm 1.4, and it's kind of dominant. I love it. It's great YouTube camera. For the price point, I think this is the best that you can get. Some people might disagree. Get the GH5. Okay, so the GH5 is good, but it also has flaws, and one of them is the autofocusing. It's got way better stabilization. I mean, the GH5 camera is really, and it's around the same price point, I believe, as this. Might be a couple $100 more. I'm not exactly sure, but it's in the same ballpark. It's in the same league as this camera, the GH5. And the stabilization is great, but the autofocus sucks. And you know how I already feel about that. You can't fix autofocus. So, yeah, I think this. I would much rather have this than the GH5. I think this is for the price point, I think this is the best camera you can get for YouTube, if you want like interchangeable lens camera and you want like a DSLR type style camera for vlogging or making YouTube videos, like, yeah, I think this takes the cake. Hey, guys, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it very much. If you could drop a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, that would be awesome. It would be awesome. Focus on my hands. Awesome. That'd be great, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And Kinetic and Vlogs out, man. Peace.